when people do that, I'm going to call bullshit, because humans are not meant to live alone.
Right.
I can, again, if we were going to have this subject about, I can bring data to the table that shows that people live longer and healthier lives when they have somebody to share their life with.
Welcome to the Playbook. I'm your host, Lion. I'm joined by my co-host, Mystery.
What up, what up?
And our special agent in charge, Doc Smith. How are you fellas doing?
I'm feeling great, man. Feeling great. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. Doc, how you doing?
Outstanding, sir. Glad to be here today. Glad to be alive, man. Baby, every day good above ground is a good day.
Exactly.
I second
This side
that.
of the dirt.
I second that, yeah, for sure. And Mystery, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about gender roles in the relationship.
Excellent, excellent. But we are not alone. We have a very special guest.
Who we got today?
Doc, let us know who we have here today.
Well, gentlemen, today we are honored to have in our presence Sierra, a.k.a. Cece, a.k.a. one of my favorite dance partners ever. I don't want to give her the big head.
There it
She
is.
might not be able to squeeze out. But yeah, we end up, there's a theme, a recurring theme here sometimes at like Latin dance and salsa. So that's how Cece and I met now about a decade ago now. Tell us a little bit about you and what you have going on, anything you want to share with the viewers.
Sure. So I would describe myself as an aspiring Renaissance woman, and so dance is one of my interests. And I also, I'm one of those women that I love to bake, I love to cook, I love to do things like that. I think it's relevant for me to be speaking here today with you all about gender roles because I'm a student of psychology. I'm currently working on, obtaining my degree in psychology. I'm a certified HR professional, and so I do investigations and interviewing a lot of people, finding out, the truth of the matter in a lot of situations, and studying human behavior in that way. And then on a more personal note, I'm mother to a boy and a girl. So, in talking
One
about
each.
gender, it's
You see.
interesting to, see it in a child's perspective as well. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Excellent, excellent. So just so we can get a base level of knowledge for all of us, I want to ask two questions. I'm going to start with you, Mystery.
Oh, boy.
The first question, and then we'll come around. Everybody's going to get a chance to answer, is what is masculinity to you?
Okay, loaded question, but I'll summarize it as this for me. Masculinity is strength, accountability, nobility, and a little bit of empathy. That's what it is in a nutshell. And that's the way it was presented to me from all the way down from my great-grandfather and my grandfather as well as my dad.
Hey, man, hold up. That was an exceptional answer. I almost don't want to go after you. And that's rare.
Follow that.
There
you go.
No, I don't have to follow that. But shout out
Left
to your
Doc speechless. Come on.
shout out to the male figures in your family that
I appreciate it, man.
define masculinity as such, because a lot of times definitions are skewed in a way that is sometimes negative. I'm not going to, but no, we'll get to that when E gets to, ask me the question. But yeah, that's a great definition, sir.
So, and Doc, I'm gonna hit you with the same question. What is masculinity to you?
Why you asked me right after E? And he gave that spectacular.
I don't want to follow that. I don't want to follow you either, but
Dang,
listen,
Lion.
I think dangerously.
Okay. Masculinity can be defined in a number of ways, but I think, like I said, he kind of hit on some of the key elements of masculinity. I think masculinity is about being strong and masculine in a way that's not, like sometimes in society today, and we're going to drill down on this, I'm sure, but people sometimes take the term as masculinity, or you hear about toxic masculinity and things like that, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't think that people forget men need to be men for a reason. There was a reason for survival of the species that men needed to be masculine.
Absolutely.
Now we have guns and other stuff, and we don't have to hunt for our food, and you don't have to worry about another tribe with spears coming to like try to take your wife or the women or your food or, destroy what you built. But there was a time when if you didn't have a level of masculinity to be able to do that, to defend that, you would cease to exist. Your tribe, your group, your family would cease to exist. So there is a time and a place to be masculine in a traditional definition, but I think it's like my first tattoo, the yin and yang, and we talk about this a lot, balance is critical. And so I think that is masculinity on one scale, but I think empathy, like you said, is huge and relevant. So I think it's how you define a man as being manly and able to defend in a traditional historic sense his tribe, his people, but also to be able to take care of to be caring and nurturing as well, and have empathy towards other people in society, so that masculinity doesn't go unchecked.
I have a follow-up question. I know this is not the plan, but I just have to say before I forget, you don't have to answer now.
That happens
you
sometimes with us.
You can answer right after, but so would you say, and it's like dangerous, would you say that modern advantages have allowed the definition of masculinity to change or evolve based on how we have progressed in society?
100%, because I come from some males in my family. My grandfather on my mom's side, his name is Ossie Powell. He was spectacular, strong, silent, but caring. My dad, former military, 26 years, retired Vietnam, vet. And so they show the epitome of male strength, as you would define it, but also balance with sensitivity and caring and empathy. So I was in the military, I've been a martial artist for like decades. I remember the first time someone shot someone in a karate movie, I lost my shit. I was like, how are you gonna shoot somebody in a karate movie? And then my dad was like, well, that's the kind of the real world. People have guns now. Because I was like, that's not honorable, you know what I mean? But because I was like, I was deep in that whole David Carradine Kung Fu thing. But like, yeah, so at a time, there was a time when there weren't guns. Like, they called guns or weapons where somebody, if you were gonna be a defender of your home, of your palace, of your people, you had to be strong, fast, you had to be physically capable of doing that.
Absolutely.
Now you don't. Just on that point alone, not when you talk about like the social variables that come into play about perspectives and people being society saying what you do and do not have to do, or how you as a man don't have to be tough or whatever. It's bad to be aggressive and stuff like that. Sometimes you hear that when I absolutely disagree with that, but we can get to that later.
Yeah.
I think that to answer your question, you can, the technology and things like that have definitely changed the definition of masculinity, and you no longer need to be masculine in the way that you would have had to be 100 years ago in order to fit that criterion.
Excellent.
I agree.
So I would challenge that a little bit in saying that I feel like the core foundations of masculinity are the same, but for example, I think being able to keep your woman or keep a family safe is a masculine trait, and I think how that looks now is different. So like you said, being able to physically keep your family safe, your tribe safe, your home safe, that was masculinity in a historical sense. And now it's, can you keep us financially safe? Can you keep our home safe in a different way in the modern world? So I would say that that core value of masculinity is the same. It's just it looks different in today's world.
It does, and I guess we're not really disagreeing. We're kind of saying the same thing, because what we're saying is that what Lion was, I guess, to go to his initial question, has technology and changes in time changed the definition
of masculinity?
And I think at its core, it still is a little bit different, because now I try to use a little bit of the old meets the new. I have 14, 15 cameras around my house. I have security systems. I have a number of weapons to protect my home, because I'm a weapon guy.
Yep.
But I also still know that if I get in a ring with somebody, I can still hold my own, because I've spent my whole life training. I'm in my 50s now. I don't want to fight people if I don't have to. I'd like to deal with stuff amicably. But I guess what it goes back to is like, what I look to is if we have a break in society, the zombie apocalypse, and all of a sudden weapons are not available to everyone,
everything goes out the window.
Then it's the people that are
reverting back to primitive
are going to be the ones who are at the top of the food chain.
There's always a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to jump, but I totally agree with you. And there's evidence of that fact. Like, if you look at hip hop and different things, if you look at sports and blah, 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 still to this day, the aggressor wins. Like, I coach AAU sports, and you look at when when 50 Cent came into the game, Jay-Z said it. This is back in the day, but when the rap artists were doing whatever they were doing, and Jay-Z said, "You guys got to come harder. Somebody's going to X the game out," like DMX did. Then you have 50 Cent come in, kill the game, blah blah blah.
That's
To a
my
certain,
boy, DMX.
exactly. To a certain extent, and let me take it to AAU, where I was coaching, and we had a great group of fellas. It's just that they weren't from the wild, and when we went to a big tournament, they were literally getting pushed off the court, and I was telling them, "Hey, the referees, they're not calling anything,
Right.
So play at the level that they're playing. If they knock you down, knock them down. Don't injure them or anything like that, but let them know that you're here, right?"
Right.
And it didn't happen. And there's, you gotta, at some point, you either step up or you step down, and that speaks to, I guess, who you are and some levels of masculinity in that arena. So
I would think that it's kind of like how people are being raised, how children are being raised, right? And what the lessons that they're being taught at home that encourages that behavior versus that more aggressive, masculine, connected behavior. Yeah.
Well, I think society, and I would pose this question to the three of you, and do you feel like society's norms now are going in a direction where they are teaching men that they don't have to conform to standard gender roles, and they don't need to be like aggressive or like overtly
Traditionally
masculine anymore in order to be, that's maybe
considered
not
a man.
Right,
or-
exactly.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Is that?
I definitely think that's the case, especially I think there is some correlation socioeconomically. It depends because I hate to say it, but if you still grow up in a neighborhood where you have to fight, which less and less, you're naturally more aggressive. But then again, there are some people who just have it in them, whether it was taught or whether it was in them.
I think I see one thing that we can see in very poor areas or countries is that everything stays more traditional. The less resources people have, you'll see more of a stay-at-home mother or wife. You'll see the father being the breadwinner, since who's gonna watch the kids? You know what I'm saying? So I do see like the lack of resources forces people to revert to more of
Correlates to a
Right.
more
to a
traditional.
more traditional role.
Yeah.
With that said, just to before we move to the next question, I want to say to me, I just see masculinity, just to add to what you gentlemen and lady said, is that sometimes masculinity to me, I understand, is doing what's uncomfortable or what's right, even when it doesn't benefit you, even when it's not right. So you push through certain things, and you have to be able to take care of those around you. So I just want to add that a little bit.
I agree with that. I want to tell a story. It's very close to me. Like my favorite uncle, he was staying at our house. Well, he came over our house one morning, and we were having an event, and my mother had yelled at me. This is when I was kidding. My mother yelled at me because I didn't do something, and I didn't say anything. I just went down and did it begrudgingly, and and I finished up the task, and my uncle said, "I'm proud of you." It's like, even though you didn't want to do it, you did it anyway, and that's what being a man is. And so that was huge to me.
And you hit I think you kind of what Lion said, and it was alluding to, is like, is masculinity and being a man, are the terms interchangeable, or is there overlap between the two of them?
So I feel that women can display masculine energy. Women can display masculine
Absolutely.
traits,
Right, Cece?
right? Yeah. So in that sense, I feel like if we're defining masculinity, there's an awareness of like, well, women can also demonstrate. And what you're describing as doing something that you don't want to do, or something that has to be done, I would describe that as leadership. Like a masculine
agree.
trait is having that leadership, traditionally seen maybe as being the leader of the family, but now it's being able to lead, maybe out in your profession, out in your community, and of course at home with your family. I see that as definitely a masculine trait.
Now, with that said, so we have a base knowledge what everybody believes masculinity is. Let
But
me
I
ask
didn't
you.
get to answer it all the way.
Oh,
Go
you know
ahead.
what?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Please do.
Well,
Sorry.
what I'm
I
gonna
like
do is
it.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
See,
Let's do this.
wait. When she said females can be masculine as well, and I like smirking at it, you know. See,
Here's
'cause,
an
like,
example. No,
I think most of the women in my life who I'm close to are stronger women. You know what I mean? I don't gravitate towards people in general who are weak people. And being strong doesn't mean that you're overbearing. It doesn't mean you're loud or obnoxious or rude. It just means that you have a sense of who you are, a sense of self-worth,
Right.
and know who you are, and you're not going to let people run over you. You know. And
Right.
I kind of, if my wife is like that. Her friends are like that. Her female friends are kind of like her. They're not just in their careers, which is illustrated by their careers, because people are always like, how do you know this celebrity or know that person? When I was like, it's my wife's friend or somebody she went to school with at Penn or at Georgetown, but it's not just about their successes. Their successes come from who they are as individuals. And I think that Cece is kind of one of those people, besides being a great dance partner, she has a good sense of who she is, and she's strong in a way, which some may stereotypically say is masculine, but I think
Right.
it's admirable. So
Thank you.
Let's do
Yeah.
this. So, because I know you're gonna finish answering that question, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you, because you're gonna start with the second question as well. I'm gonna ask you what the second question is. You're gonna answer the first one, go on to the second one, and then we'll ask that question to somebody else. Okay?
Okay.
How would you
Jeopardy.
define femininity?
So for me, as I mentioned before, I feel like women can demonstrate those masculine traits. So it's not necessarily gender specific. And when I think of masculinity, I would define it as being a leader for your family, whether that's at home or in your profession, in the community, having those leadership qualities. And then I would also say being able to keep your family safe, so whoever's around you feels safe in your presence. I think that also connects with empathy. If someone has those empathetic qualities, then they are able to make people feel safe. And then being able to provide. And I think that's changed a lot, as in the modern times, with how much women have the potential to be able to provide, and that being seen as a masculine type trait. Lastly, I would say that I also value calmness as a masculine trait, because as a woman, I can recognize that I can be emotional. And so for me,
point.
a man being able to be the calm when I am feeling emotional is a masculine
What can we
quality.
both be
A
emotional?
grounding-
What if I want to cry too? What if I
You
want to
can
cry?
have your moments, okay? But it
Are we
can't be
taking
at the
turns?
same
it can't be
time.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. That's important.
That's a good
about,
point. Yeah.
Again, I hate
Calmness,
to keep
yep.
referring back to, I'm gonna have to do the Yin and Yang Chronicles, because again, the balance in the universe between men and women, hard and
Yeah.
soft, and between partners in a relationship, regardless of your gender, if you're same-sex partners or a traditional couple, a historically traditional couple, it's still about being with someone who balances you out. And
Absolutely.
so it's okay for you both to be sensitive, like I said, just not at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
sometimes if she's having more of an emotional, sensitive moment, which maybe occasionally have. I don't know. I haven't seen you really having one of those.
That's right. Stone cold.
Right, that's right. Like, yeah, I'm like, I personally don't, but exactly. You have to.
I have
it's
my
about
moments,
balance.
but they're few and far between. But for me, that makes it an even higher level of like a need, because they are few and far between. So when I have those emotional moments, I really need my man to show up for me in that calm, masculine way.
I think that's big. I told you about the situation. We won't get into it, but where I learned to be calm from high school and whatnot,
Right.
and just different situations like that. That's always been me. Like someone.
No,
even-
chill.
yeah,
I think,
exactly.
see, that's the thing. I can be like really high strung, a little bit. That's my kind of my personality. I'm definitely a type A plus personality. But I think that people that know me, and my wife says this all the time. She maybe said it to you, E, about how like when something gets really bad or something's really going on, that's like an issue. Like how I like am
Yep.
really mellow. So if I'm like
Focus in.
so if I'm like then it's just like it's a non-issue. You know what I mean?
I mean,
I'm just,
you can be
exactly.
passionate, you can have a rant, like you can
Right.
still be a man and do those things.
Right.
But it's like,
but like I said, because I think my martial arts helped me. I think that was one of the things my parents put me in for, because they thought I was going to have a bit of a temper that I may need to control, and they felt it was going to be good for my discipline, and also just to give you a baseline of calm to be able to
Yes.
to deal with life's situations from a rational because
Right.
it's okay to panic and freak out and be scared, but at the end of the day, nothing gets resolved like that. That's what I tell people. I tell people that
exactly.
run from bugs. And one of my best friends was just telling me how his daughter got in an accident because some kind of bug got in the car.
Okay.
And I know that has happened to numerous people enough to where I've had the discussion with my wife and other people, my sisters. If a bug gets in a car, a bee or something you're scared of, and you're not allergic to it, you're not going to die of anaphylaxis. You have to train your mind to try to pull over to the side or just let the bug bite you or sting you, as opposed to freaking out and driving into oncoming traffic where a bee won't kill you, but a semi for sure will.
Exactly.
One thing that for a great portion of my younger life, I was raised by my godfather, my godmother, and my godfather was a masculine presence in my life. And one thing that man was calm. Mm-hmm. So I come from a very humble beginnings back in the Dominican Republic. We all live in this same two house that were tied together, right? And there would be fires in the neighborhood, and there was no firefighters. So everybody grabbed buckets of water, and we all, he would be cool as a cucumber. Yeah. I learned that from him. Yeah. One complaint sometimes I get is that I don't get too riled up by too many things. The first thing I think is, what's the solution to this problem? If I cannot solve it right now, I focus on what I can take care of right now. Let everything else for later, because you cannot freak out by the sheer size of the problem, whatever you're dealing with. You gotta focus on what you can control, and that's one thing that I learned from him. I think that just comes with the territories as part of being a man, or being masculine.
Yes.
It's accurate. Like you hear the saying. Have you ever heard people saying, "How do you eat the elephant?"
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. That's right.
it.
You can't. It's nothing wrong, like I said, with being in touch with your feelings. There's things making you scared or making you feel like you have an extreme fight or flight or panic, but you're not going to function effectively under those circumstances. And I can tell you that from combat. I can tell you that from working in law enforcement. When you kick a door to do a drug raid, bad guys don't give up like they do on TV. It's not like TV, so there's a lot of them. So the more calmly you can deal with the situation,
Right.
the more likely you are to come out and all your colleagues and your counterparts alive and safe.
I'm sorry, I have a funny story. I had to tell it.
Go ahead,
It's
go,
gonna
go,
vouch
go,
for
go.
me. Remember when our buddy Dan got married? Shout out to you, Dan.
What up, Dan?
And
Congratulations, bro.
We went to the Bahamas. It was a cruise wedding, right?
Yeah.
And you brought
The mask,
a
the
mask,
snorkel mask.
a scuba mask that basically is a really cool thing that
It's full
covers your
face.
whole face and you can breathe underwater.
Brian
Little
doesn't
known
like it.
fact is I don't know how to swim. but I decided, I'm gonna try swimming today because I had the mask, pretty cool. I go underwater, I'm like, oh my God, I can breathe. He'll tell you.
Wait, it wasn't a tank? How's this work? Okay, now I know I'm digressing.
Yeah,
but
so it's the ones that got popular now. So it's a full face mask with the snorkel on the top that looks
so
like
you still
something
has a
that,
snorkel, so it's an air source that goes over the
Yeah,
water.
exactly.
So did he realize that he still had a limit to how far he could descend?
No, there's a little ball that
it has a bobber that'll
it has
close
a
it.
bobber that closes and opens.
Hey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And for some reason, his mask decided not to open.
Because
Hey.
you're underneath water, so it closes. And
So
then-
it closed, and the more you breathe, the tighter it goes to your mouth. And I can't barely swim, so I am like water deep, and I'm like, I can't swim. So I calm myself, and I am praying that I do not, because I cannot remove it, because I had no leverage. So I had to run
This
and
fu-
jump in the water as calm as I could. Until I held my breath as long as I could, until I could remove the mask from my face.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna die, but hey,
Oh
I
my
stayed cool
goodness.
as a cucumber. You can tell.
Yeah,
me.
and
I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you, but that was funny.
Yeah, no. So it's funny because I got another snorkel story, which we were in Vieques. Those who know, it's a beautiful island. I was on the Esperanza side. I went with with Jer, and we went with the snorkel instructor. We kayaked out to an island off of the island, and then from there was a point where we launched and we went into the water. There was a coral, and dude, you're an hour east of Puerto Rico, and if you know where Puerto Rico is, it's in the middle of the Atlantic, and then you're going even further out. So there was a lot of current, and I went out there without a life vest because I had been doing it for a while. But the thing is,
Famous last words.
yeah, exactly. I had a selfie stick, and I wasn't using my arms. I was just using my legs. I went out there, stayed out there for like 20 minutes, came back in, went back out again, and I couldn't find Jer or the instructor. They were underneath, and so I started to get tired, like really tired, real quick. So I said, let me not mess around. Let me go back to the island and get my life vest and everything. But instead of going to the point where we originally were, I went to a different point of the island and got stuck in a current. And it was like I literally was in the washer. So it kept on pushing me back as I'm trying to get to the island, and I was already tired. Yeah. So I said to myself in that instance, I said, well, this is where people die. So like literally, I was like, well, this is how people die. So you literally are going to live or die in this moment. Go with the current, and when it pushes forward, swim real fast and let it take you back. I inched my way back to the end, and the other part was there were sea urchins everywhere. So there was rocks and sea urchins. So it's not like you could like go down and come back, and that wasn't happening. You got to keep motion. And I eventually made it back.
Bro, go ahead. You know, I'm just saying, people don't have enough respect for the ocean. The ocean is nothing to play with.
It's a real thing, man. It's real. And so when I went back, Jared pops out of the water like, hey, what's taking you so long? It's like, dude, I almost
dying.
Yeah, but you're talking about being calm in those type of situations. And like, if I had freaked out, it would have been over. Like, I either would have gotten stung, drowned, washed out to sea. Yeah, you really got to keep your head in those type of situations.
Sorry to hijack from your turn.
No,
Sorry, go ahead.
that's
Continue.
I think, you know, what you're describing and how I've talked about, like, women can display, you know, those masculine traits. And I feel like I now currently as a single mom, I find myself in those scenarios more often where I have to tune into my masculine energy to stay calm, to work through whatever the challenge may be. So I'm glad you both are here.
Right?
Yeah. And you're talking about, you know, a man can't be all up in his feelings all the time if he has to be that calm for a woman, right? And I think men can, you know, have those feminine qualities. I think being in touch with your feelings is considered like a more feminine, and there's like a time and place for that, right?
Right, 100%.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not gonna admit that I cry myself to sleep sometimes.
Oh no.
Just kidding. So what about femininity?
So femininity, for me, it's being in touch with your feelings, but deeper than that, being in touch with your intuition. And there is, you know, women's intuition is a real thing for sure. And before coming to this talk to speak with you, I asked my kids just for research purposes, you know, what do you think the difference is between men and women? Oh. And my daughter very clearly, you know, there's a biological difference. And she said, you know, women can give birth. Women can, you know. And for me, that's definitely a characteristic of femininity, is being able to create life. And it's very empowering, you know, to have that ability to know what your body's capable of. And that's something that, while there are feminine and masculine traits, like that will always be, you know, a female, you know, trait. So
and shout out to you guys for that, because, you know, I consider myself to be a pretty tough guy, you know, 16 broken bones in the game. I get my cavities filled with no Novocaine, which a lot of dentists think I'm crazy for doing. I mean, my thresholds. But if I had to have babies, you know how many people we'd have on the planet?
0. Tapping out.
I agree. I am not that tough though.
Species would be dying. Species would be dying out. So shout out to all the moms out there who you know.
Well, so not to get too in depth in that topic, you know, but naturally and unmedicated is the way that I did it with both my children. Wow. And I feel like that truly allowed me to see what I'm capable of as a woman. Wow. You know?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That's crazy talk, though.
Yeah.
I'm a pass.
If I was, that's glad.
That's okay. We'll do it for you. There's women, you know, we've got this. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Now, did you? I'm not going to go down this path and start people getting riled up about it. But did you have it in the hospital?
No, I did not, because
you had it at home?
I had it in a birth center. So it was not in a hospital setting, but I viewed it as a natural part of biology, and so I didn't feel like it was a medical emergency that I needed to be in a hospital setting for.
And you knew that, you know, being married to a physician, this is where I see all the potential complications. And like I said, that's why I said we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But as long as you know your workup is healthy and it's not rare. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And because
there's a protocol in place.
Right.
If
something does go wrong.
Correct.
Right. Because when people do that thing, for all my people, I have some good friends who did this too, male and female. Mm-hmm. I mean, meaning not that the males had the children, but their wives or girlfriends, you know, did that thing where they're at home with like a doula or whatever, and like a freaking kiddie pool or something like that.
I support it.
See, I'm like, that's crazy talk. That's crazy.
I mean, how did women give birth for centuries?
I agree, but you know what? that's why we can't talk about this now. We have to revisit it later. Or else I would pull up stats about how many
That's
more
right,
people
yeah.
died during childbirth.
Yeah,
back
but
then.
how many people die in the hospital setting during childbirth in the U.S.? The U.S. has one of the highest,
Infant
mortality. Yes,
They do, but it's still lower than it was it's still lower than it was 50
Prior
or
to
100
that.
years ago, prior to like the technology. And also, I'm not just talking about, I hate to sound selfish, but I'm not just talking about the mortality of the child. I'm talking about the mortality of the mother.
Correct.
And that's more,
Yeah.
and I know that sounds selfish.
But when
we
you're
don't have
comparing-
children, but if we did, we
Yeah.
tried, it just didn't work out. God had a different plan. But if we did, I hate to be, how there's that scenario where if something happens and you can save your wife or your kids, who
Right.
do you save or whatever,
Yeah, it'd be
And I'm
tough.
like, I don't have any kids, so people with kids argument, they're like, you would.
You don't even know, as a man, you don't know that child yet. You know
Right.
your wife. You
Right.
know this woman
I
that
spent,
you love.
This is my son,
correct.
right. I spent
Exactly.
a life.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's a difficult.
but that's a different
yeah,
black
yeah.
hole to go down in
Yeah.
a different topic. So yeah, we'll revisit that on another episode, bring you back and
Right.
talk about that. So yeah,
But I will say, having that experience, like I said, knowing what my
that's
body is
that's-
capable
yeah.
of, and
That's
I feel
hardcore.
like that really encouraged me to embrace my femininity, being a woman, kind of finding power in that and confidence in that. Not that I feel like, oh, I'm some superwoman now, but it's like, wow, this is an amazing thing that I was able to do,
That's incredible.
So in addition to that, I think that there's a softness that comes in femininity, being nurturing, being caring. You don't have to have children to have those motherly, qualities, and being a nurturing presence. I would describe that as femininity as well.
Excellent. Doc, what is femininity to you?
what Cece said.
You're just gonna ditto that.
Exactly. In a nutshell.
I
Because
mean,
when he gave birth, and he really was in touch with his femininity.
right, exactly. I'm like, I already told you it was up to me. If I'd have kids, you'd be like, we having kids? No, we're not. I would if I saw my cats, Loki and Mashita, I'd be like, these are my furry children. That is it. But I think it means a lot of things to me. A lot of what she said, I would agree with. I don't disagree with any of it, but I mean, that would be in my own definition. So not to repeat that or regurgitate that. I think also, kind of like to go back to what we talked about before. I have a lot of strong women in my life. My mother's a strong woman. My sisters are both strong, independent women. My wife is a strong woman. I think I gravitate, like I said, to my close female friends tend to be stronger women.
Absolutely.
So I think there's also a strength that comes in femininity that very often is overlooked or
Undervalued.
minimized. Exactly, wherein it comes from a different place, but it's still very relevant and very valid. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and in ways that, like, just like you said, sometimes your guy needs to be calm to reel you back in. Sometimes the female strength I've seen stop many a male meltdown. You know what I mean? Under different circumstances. You know what I mean? So I think that the balance in the universe between masculinity and femininity is like well done for a reason.
And I think what you're describing as strength, there are quite a few people who would describe as difficult. So when you talk about the women in your life being strong, being, formidable, right? I think smaller men may describe that as though those are difficult women, or that's too much. That's, and kind of discredit the value in that.
Right, and for sure there's a difference, because I know some women who are a little bit cray-cray and difficult in a way that
Yeah.
I've not seen men even be able to duplicate. You know what I mean? But you're right. For me, it's not about you being a strong woman. Especially if you are a well-balanced person and a strong woman, that's like an asset to your relationship.
Yes.
That's an asset to your squad. You know what I mean? So, or your empire, whatever you're trying to build with your partner, But you're right. But usually when somebody, and this will come back up, it'll be recurring in a lot of our discussions, but self-esteem and self-worth comes into play there, because a lot of guys who would be threatened by women like that, and I thank God,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to speak, I don't say this to blow my own horn, but I'm just saying most of the men who can have an appreciation for stronger women, because I know E's spouse, and she's a strong, squared away woman too.
Absolutely.
I think that you're not threatened by that. You recognize the strength in that, and that it brings something together that you can build a greater togetherness, a greater
Unit.
Synergy.
unit
Right.
with,
There's a thing.
you know.
So, because I know his wife very well. We know her for quite many years. She's a strong woman, but she's
I met
a,
all three of you guys together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
were-
met,
around the
yep,
same
I met,
time,
yep.
that's true.
Yeah.
She's very feminine as well. Like
Absolutely.
she's strong, but she's
About the balance.
She's
I
very
think
good.
she's
She's
super
very good.
sweet,
She
very-
runs that balance.
yeah.
She walks that line.
But
She's-
that's what it's all
That's-
about.
and like, because one thing that I may take issue on is that some people use the word strong in the wrong, because you can be strong and have a strong personality and know how to carry it yourself. I will consider you a strong woman. And you carry yourself very well. You're still very feminine, right? So some people take it to the next level and they feel they dig their heels into I'm strong to the point they become difficult.
Confrontational.
Yes.
That's
So-
different.
Yes.
And then you're using it in the wrong way. That's why people,
Right.
strong women get a bad label because some people just I want to be strong, and no, there's a line you want to toe.
Right.
So two things to add to your point and make another point. Like the biggest thing for me is strength, but you listen to reason. So
Yes.
exactly, that's where it defines being strong and just being stubborn. If whoever's idea, I'm a guy. I don't care who came up with the idea, as long as the idea makes sense
It's
and it's the
logical.
best
Right.
one.
Right.
It,
Yep.
most efficient, most effective. Now, talking about strength, like my grandmother is the model for that. You talk about my wife. My grandmother was the model for that because she, at a difficult time, way back in the 60s, left my biological grandfather, went and got a job in New York City, brought a car, brought a house, supported my dad and my great grandmother.
Now, how old is your grandmother?
She's going to be 100.
Is that the grandmother that I know?
She's going to be 100 in
Okay,
December.
so
yeah.
I met his grandmother.
Yeah.
She's an impressive individual.
Yeah.
She was out there at the wedding on the dance floor, getting it in, turning
Yeah.
up. You
Yeah.
know, just an amazing human being. But I'll tell you, so I'm old enough. Like sometimes I talk about stuff with people, and they're like, I've lived through some amazing times, and I don't want to sound like I'm that old. But I have been in terms of technology, like because I was around when we talk about cell phones. I was around when I had the first cell phone. I was around when I moved around with my dad in the military, where you had to write letters or call somebody on a landline. That was
Exactly.
it. There was no internet. So I've seen, and as an IT guy before I became an agent, I've seen computers go from like nothing to where they are now, from no internet to internet, from no way to only landlines, to like. So I've seen so many crazy changes that during my lifetime. During my lifetime, people don't realize I was actually born when it was still illegal in the United States for blacks and whites to marry in this country. For people that try to, go, oh, that was so long ago. Why does it matter? Well, because it wasn't that long ago. So when you talk about things like that, so this is paying homage to your grandmother because Pete Davidson, who I love as a comedian, right?
Yeah.
He told us, we went to see him when he was here somewhere in St. Pete and in concert. And he was talking about this joke he made, and I thought it was hilarious. He said, like, grandmothers, those are the shortest mourning periods ever. He said, because I think it was his grandma or somebody, I don't want to screw up his story, but he basically said, somebody, his grandpa, when his grandpa's died or something, and like 4 months later or 6 months later, grandma was like hooking up with another dude or getting married or something. And he was like, grandma, and he was basically like, the reason that it was a joke, but the reason it was serious is because he said, if you look around, he said, I hate to be like this, but he's like, depending on what age you are, most of your dads or grandpas were possibly assholes, right? And that's not true, but what he's saying is that depending on where they were, and if they weren't like the kind of men that you said your dad, your grandfather raised you to be, with the empathy that you guys both speak of, then you could have been a guy at a time when women were not valued, they were treated lesser, and you basically...
Well,
they didn't have options to go out and make a way for themselves.
Right.
So that was the
stuck.
way for them to survive. They had to be linked with a male who could be their provider because they just didn't have options,
Yeah.
Right.
And so what your grandmother did at that time period, and I say all this to put it in perspective for people that are younger, like I'm old enough still to recognize how much of an accomplishment that was, not just because, oh, she's a boss, bitch, how everybody talks about that kind of stuff. No disrespect to your grandmother, but that's a term I'm gonna go with these kids use today, people use today.
Yeah.
Because for a woman that's squared away and she's doing her thing, it goes beyond that because she didn't have the opportunities that women had 1 or 2 generations ago. You know what I mean?
Right.
That to do that. She had to forge her way at a time when no one was trying to give her an opportunity, and not only to be a female, but also to be a female of color.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
I mean that's really a notable accomplishment.
So to speak to add to my definition, that nurturing aspect from
Yeah.
femininity, I think, opens up a whole different bunch of compartments because they change the hat as necessary, as needed, depending
Right.
upon the situation.
Right. And I think what you're describing, I see today is like almost an issue that people may describe with having an issue with independent women, like women being overly independent and
Yeah.
overly like, oh, I don't need a man for this because I can do all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in the situation you're sharing with your grandmother and oftentimes with women is that they become independent out of necessity.
As a
Exactly.
And it's
as
not-
a result of
Yeah, it's probably not their preferred way to function, but because life circumstances have put them in that situation, independence has been necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people,
Go
I
ahead.
think, also do it out of trying to protect their feelings. I think a lot of people have gone through some
Not
bad situation,
healthy.
relationships,
Exactly.
and not healthy
Yeah.
relationships, and they label independent. Well, I'm independent. This applies to men as well. I'm independent because I don't need anybody else. And sometimes you can see through that there's some trauma behind that.
Right.
That is just trying to
100%.
protect themselves, putting walls in order to not get close to someone else because they're afraid to get hurt.
Well, I'm going to call, when people do that, I'm going to call bullshit, because humans are not meant to live alone.
Right.
I can, again, if we were going to have this subject about, I can bring data to the table that shows that people live longer and healthier lives when they have somebody to share their life with. It doesn't have to be
For
a
sure.
husband, a wife, it doesn't have to be a girlfriend, but we are not people that are meant to live in a
Friendships,
box by ourselves. So
Facts.
everybody fares better with somebody. And what you say, Lion, is 100% correct. And like you were talking about, you guys both kind of touched on it too, when you're talking about people being confident or strong and going over to the realm of being difficult. Well, those are two different kind of people, because the people that are strong and confident have like a self-esteem about them where it's not about digging in their heels and being difficult for the sake of being difficult. Those people that dig in their heels for the sake of being difficult are trying to prove something not only to other people but to themselves.
Themselves.
Yep.
Exactly.
Right,
Yep.
and so,
Yep.
yeah, so I mean, that's kind of the same, in both situations, yeah.
I want to add to what you were talking about, how, women historically weren't able to get out. They didn't have opportunities. They didn't have, a way to provide or leave situations. And so I'm curious to hear from the three of you about how you feel now with women having these opportunities, the ability to provide for themselves. Like, has that raised the bar on what's expected of men?
So I don't know whether the bar has been raised. I think that the game has been changed, whereas guys will work on their strength and physical ability. Now you have to work on your ability to be financially sound and provide a good quality life for your family, your wife and your kids, because we know what the opposite looks like. And that goes to the part of accountability.
I'll say this. I think it depends. It depends on, just falling into our main topic, which is gender roles, who you're dealing with as your partner. Because if you have someone who's more of a traditional gender role, yeah, it has raised. You're looking at, as people say in the streets, 6 figures, 6 feet, and 6-pack, right? So that's why people.
I'm gonna put that on my dating profile.
Am I right or am I right?
The 1%, because that's what that is.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping somebody says 5'8" and like it's okay.
Charismatic,
You know what I'm
really
saying?
funny, good dancer.
Listen, that works too in my book. But anyway, it happens that if we have someone that has a mindset of a more modern gender role, right? A lot of people were like 50-50. So at that point, technically it shouldn't matter. Shouldn't matter too much or how much one person is bringing opposed to the other, because then that person will fall back into more of a traditional situation where the man is covering the cost of everything, while this other person makes all this other money. What's happening to that money that's being made? It says, I think there's a big saying.
A double standard.
A double standard, yeah. It's saying that I heard a few women say, his money is mine and my money is mine. I don't know. I don't think that's exactly how it goes. But at that point, you're looking at more of a traditional role. So if you have a modern mindset, I think 50-50 may work out for that couple. I'm not saying that's exactly perfect for everyone, but that's for someone with more of a modern mindset. If you're looking at someone with a more traditional mindset, then that standard has been elevated. Because if you're making 80, 90, 100, $150,000 a year, women typically don't date down, opposed to a man. A man would more likely date down a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
You said a little bit. You're being nice. Guys who are multimillionaires will date some. I mean, that's what Tiger Woods did. He married his nanny. You know what I mean? So
I would date like I'm not a multimillionaire yet. But
right,
you know what I'm saying? You see me writing saying.
Well, one of my favorite examples of what you're describing is that Beyonce could work at a Burger King and she could still find a man like Jay-Z. If Jay-Z was working at the Burger King,
No chance.
Beyonce quality woman is not giving him the time of day.
So it's a double standard there.
That's
So,
it's true.
so
It stung a little bit, Jigga. But, but it's yeah.
that's why I'm working at Chick-fil-A now. But
And they're closed on Sundays.
that's right. I get my weekends back.
Work-life balance. And you, what do you think, Tracy?
Oh wow. I was listening to what the guys were saying. There's just so much I think about that. A lot of that stuff. I could talk about this forever because
Go ahead.
in my own relationship, it's gone both ways where I was the primary earner for 2 careers while she was in medical school and residency, and then she smoked my income range, but then I retired, and I think that
I have to interject because I hope you don't get mad. I say
not gonna
this.
get mad.
I love you have a sign downstairs that says "Trophy Husband." I think that's
that is
hilarious. I love it. I just gotta love it. Shout out to you.
I should have brought it up here and sat it on the table. Yeah, so I mean that's good to be. I'm trying. That's why I gotta. People are like, why you work out so hard? I'm like, shoot. Now I'm retired. I gotta look good. I gotta do something. Shoot.
Six-pack,
I gotta be a trophy.
I got one job.
Right. So, but I think a lot of that has to do with to not go way into that, but I've seen it many times. You alluded to this line about about how it depends on the individuals, the perspective, what you're. Again, I'm going to keep saying this. It also depends on because in relationships between men and women and friends, we should aspire to have the most positive, best people around us that we can.
Good point.
But some people don't, right? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of these issues come, and I mean, I'm just calling a spade. I'll Dr. Phil it or however you want to say it. I don't want to sound like a butthead, but you're with a loser, whether it be a male or a female or whatever. Whether it be because, and I'm not saying that, we're the product of our environments. That's all we are as human beings. And some people have different opportunities, more opportunities than others, But even under the worst case scenario, I remember, I think it was one of the Surgeon Generals who gave a talk at one of my sister's graduations or something at Clark or something. Anyway, he basically came from the hood and became Surgeon General. Mm-hmm. And so you can overcome adversity. And so you don't always have to, because you were abused, end up an abuser. You know what I mean? Sometimes that happens. But so I guess if you are a good person, a healthy person, and you surround yourself with like-minded, positive, healthy people in your relationship, then it's going to be okay regardless because you guys will figure out a balance to make it work. But I've seen, especially with guys that are dating or married to female physicians, I've watched them try to sabotage their wife's careers because they're jealous of that. Yeah. And that's the thing. My wife is my biggest cheerleader no matter what I'm doing, and I'm hers. I'm like, shoot, I never operate from a place like, oh, dang, she's about to be making more than me now. But I watch guys do that and a moron, instead of going, yo, this is for the team. This is the squad. This is for the empire. Who cares who's making more? Who cares?
But you gotta remember, if you have a partner that has a mindset that if you're not making that kind of money, you're on a time clock.
I think it's.
What you mean as a male or a female though?
Say you're the male, and your wife starts making, let's say, double what you make.
Right.
I'll tell you a story. So I know someone, not myself, that was dating a person. At some point, that person, because of certain situations in life, some people died. That person ended up in a position making twice as much overnight.
Okay.
Literally, just everything lined up like a domino effect, right?
Right.
you're on a time clock at that point. If that person is the kind of person that you need to make more money than me, because I'm not gonna date a guy that does not make, it's not on my quote unquote level. Like some
I
guys,
think that speaks to
that's
the
when,
person.
That's when some guys will want to be more of a
I think that's
hater on their part.
Take it.
Yeah, I think that speaks more to the person that you're with. And to piggyback off of what Tracy was saying, I went back, Sierra knows, I went back and restarted my career, and my wife was making way more money than I was at one point, right? And so, like, it's funny throughout our careers, because I went back and got into IT throughout our careers. We've been going back and forth, and it's almost year to year sometimes where I'm making more than her, and then she gets a promotion, and then she's making more than me, and blah, blah, blah. It's for the win for the team, because the family wins. We go on more vacations. We do more things and enjoy a higher quality of life. And so I wasn't, and it's funny because I never been jealous, and I don't.
Right, and I know that. 'cause I've
Wait,
been around.
let's keep it real, bro. Let's keep it real. You got 2 of the 3, 6 feet, 6-pack. You
6 feet and 6 figures.
may
No
have-
6-pack.
You
Yo,
may
it's
have
no
$6
6-pack.
in the pocket, but yeah, 6 feet and a 6-pack.
Well,
bro.
see, okay, so
Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, but it's like the whole thing was it's not being jealous from either one. She's not jealous and I'm not jealous. She was a motivator,
Yeah.
but I wasn't jealous that she's making more money than me. I was like, okay, game on. I got to step my game up. I know where I can be, and I know that if I get there, it'll be great for the two of us, and that's what I did.
Right.
And that's why the team wins. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing from both of you is there's this component of adaptability that's required in, those relationships, in a male-female partnership, right?
yeah.
And because different seasons call for different things. And I just want to share that I've been in both sides. I've been the one who's like staying home with the kids, and then I've been the one who's the breadwinner. And for me, I never felt like, I need my partner to meet me here and get ahead of me, or he's not going to cut it. It was more that like, okay, I'm earning this for the family. What are you doing to make our lives
Better.
better?
Right,
because
right,
I'm not
right.
going to carry
As a
any
team-
dead weight.
As a team
Yes.
member. And that's,
Right, and that's different for her
Yes.
to not to want to carry
Yes.
dead weight
Yeah.
than for her to be a freaking trifling individual and think that and have this where my guy needs to make more money than me, because to me it goes back to what I said. If you remember, I prefaced this all by saying there's some people who are losers out there. I'm going to tell you, and I don't care, you could be mad at me, they can get mad at me. If you're a guy or a girl who places a standard on how much your partner needs to make in order to be in a relationship with them, and that's your barometer, then you're a loser, and you're ultimately gonna lose at some juncture. It's illogical. It makes you a bad person. It makes you a bad human being at your core, because ultimately it should be about what you're both contributing to each other. It's one thing to say, like you said, I don't want to be working while you're sitting at home playing video games on a couch.
Right.
Not taking care of the kids, not cooking, not doing. So now, like you said, it's like you're not only a single parent, but you're the sole breadwinner, and your guy is not doing. That's different. But if it's going back and forth, and she's all of a sudden like, I'm making more than you now, you better do better, or you're gonna have to go. I'm gonna trade you in for up. That's a loser, and you should recognize that the red flags that are those types of people through other interactions with them, and don't pair yourself off with them. Be healthy enough, know yourself, have enough self-esteem to choose a better partner.
Or if you're in that type of relationship, like, someone could really prioritize money. That could be super important, maybe the most important thing to them.
Right.
And if you're going to be in a relationship with that person, you also have to share that as a priority. So if that's going to be the mindset of like, okay, well, now I'm making this, I need you to keep up. Maybe you both prioritize money in that way,
Let
and
me
that
ask
could
you,
work.
Wait, hold up. I gotta say this about this, because now I'm putting my psychologist hat back on.
There you go.
My relationship therapist, counselor hat on.
Ask the doc.
If you in fact, even in that situation, because I've lived long enough and I've seen a lot of life circumstances, good, bad, ugly, myself and other people included firsthand, where I'm not using data from other sources or studies, to know that life will kick you in the freaking teeth when you least expect
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So it doesn't even matter if you're both happy. It's cool if your priorities both are earning and you're both driven by fiscal motivations. But But if one of you all of a sudden is not able to pull you in financially because life happens, and the other one is going to leave you because of that, then you're a shitty person.
Absolutely.
No, yeah, I
Absolutely.
I'm not saying you, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
No,
So
dude,
yeah.
No, I totally agree with you. Look at the person. You have to like the person for who they are, and look at the person
Thank
for
you.
who they can become. Because, like I said, if I was a stock, my wife brought low, right? She brought
She got in when it was
she
good.
brought in low.
When it's penny stocks, and
Exactly.
now it's blue chip.
I was going back to school and everything, and
Now it's Tesla.
That stock is way up right now.
Amazon, right.
And there was at that time, Lion can attest to it. It was all good before, but when I was going back to school and all that, hardly any chicks would holler at me, right? And that's real talk because they were evaluating.
I mean, I don't want to go.
Yeah, because
I
it
don't
was,
want to say nothing.
Yeah. Because they were evaluating
6 pack.
Yeah, they were evaluating. I say hardly, but they were evaluating the money, but they weren't evaluating the potential and the individual. So you have to look beyond that and get beyond yourself, man.
I think that applies more to people who are dating younger in their journeys.
Absolutely.
So, maybe in your 20s, you're looking more at potential, you're looking more at work ethic, what their goals are, how have they succeeded in accomplishing these goals.
Yeah.
But at me personally, at my stage, being, mid-30s, single mom, I'm not dating potential. I'm dating, what do you bring? I'm dating with an awareness of who are you today? Who are you in this current stage? And then sure, if you have things that you want to accomplish in the future, like that's great, but I'm not going to date someone based on like their talk of what they want.
Okay,
their
let me. I
potential.
like this. That's great. That's great,
There you
CC,
go.
that you bring that up. So let me ask you this. Turn the tables. Ask you some questions now. We'll taking the power back to the power shift. Okay, so
Nobody can take my power back from me, by the way.
I was working. You see, you flipped the script on us and started interviewing. I'm like, Harold's like, wait, this is my show. Stop it. But no, when you say that's good. You say that because as you spoke about that, what I would ask you is, okay, not to complicate things, but like in addition to the fact for our own selves, on my situation, it was not just about who was earning what individually, but we also owned businesses together that we both were party to. So now there's like these other variables that come into play. But again, at the end of the day, if your partner's your person, they always have the best interests of you and the team in whatever they do, regardless of what that is, And so I would ask you this: if there's a guy who you meet that's making half of what you're making,
Oh, yeah.
right? But you still like him and care about him,
Yeah.
And not that he has the potential. He's saying not the potential. Not that he's saying, hey, I'm going to do these things. I just haven't gotten to them yet. These are on my vision board or whatever, and I just haven't manifested them yet. But you know that he's making moves, and regardless of whether they manifest themselves or not, he's always going to be an earner, a provider, a go-getter.
Yeah.
And even if he's making what he's making now, or some of the other things he's tried to do haven't panned out, he's constantly been a significant, responsible earner, and he's going to never leave you hanging, or the family hanging. How do you feel about that guy if just on paper he's making half of what you're making?
So to respond to that, I
When
would
you look
say,
at that guy.
yeah, well, looks don't matter as much at this stage.
When you look at that guy.
Would I look at him? Would I consider him? Is what you're asking me.
Yeah, well, consider him.
Yeah. So my approach is that I don't need you to take care of me. I need you to be able to take care of yourself. And what do you do to make my life better? So that doesn't mean financially, because I'm in a place where I can take care of me and my kids.
And
That's
that is
big.
why CC
That's
is. I'm
big.
gonna let you finish, but that's why you're a great woman, and that's what I'm talking about. Who you are at your core, because I
Yeah.
couldn't have said that better myself.
Yeah.
It's not about, for both parties. It shouldn't be about how much money either one makes. There's a threshold. It should
Right.
be about what kind of value you're bringing to the person's life.
Yes.
Let me ask you,
Yeah.
Sierra, CZ. So I'm gonna ask a couple of questions here.
Yeah.
Let's get personal. So
I like personal. I like
let's do
personal, especially when it's her.
So let me ask you. You don't have to answer, of course, but at some point in your life, have you dated someone that made substantially more than you?
Yes.
Okay. And did that person take care of everything for you, or you still contributed?
I have dated not in a way that I've been living with them. So I would say that the gentlemen that I date now, there is some that are maybe making twice as much as me.
Gotcha.
So yes, that's there, but I'm not getting myself into a situation where I'm expecting or need
no,
a man
listen,
to.
I'm not going that deep. I'm not
Yeah,
going that deep.
yeah.
But in the past, have you lived with someone that makes substantially more than you and they took care of all the bills for you?
So I was a stay-at-home mom. I gave up my financial independence
Makes
to
sense.
fill that role, and it is something I will never do again.
Let me ask you then. Let's say, I don't know how much money you make right now. I really don't. But but let's say that tomorrow, for whatever reason, some people die in your company, and you're like the next in line. You're CEO tomorrow. You're making 3 times as much as you make now. It's 2 times as much.
Lions promote people by like
Listen.
old school death. Like
Battlefield promotion.
Battlefield
You.
promotion, you get in here, they're dead now.
And let's say that happens, and now you're making 2 times more than what the person you like to date or you like is making, and you're like, you know what, babe. That person says to you, you know what, I just want to stay at home, but I'll cook, I clean, I take care of everything. Will you be okay with that?
I'm not in a committed relationship at that
I'm
level.
not thinking about the person now. This is my imaginary person that.
In theory, yes. In theory,
Do we
absolutely.
okay 100% with that?
Yes,
Okay.
I would absolutely be fine with being 100% the provider if that person is making my life easier at home. Because
Perfect.
the weight of that, like if
It has value.
Yeah, the weight.
Too. I mean, not
of
to be
being,
just
Well,
objective
of
about
course,
it. I mean,
like,
quantitative
so-
about it, but that has value.
Yeah, if I'm in a position, and currently, and I have been for quite a few years, in a position that's high stress, high demand, and making more than my partner, and so my expectations are that I'm capable, I'm able to do this, I want to do this for my family, and I need you to support in a different way. And so not showing up in that supportive way is what's going to cause friction in the relationship. And so if somebody does present as, you know what, you have all these bills on lock, we still can travel, we still can build our retirement, because those are important things too. It's not just getting by day to day.
Church, preach, girl.
Right? But I can do all these things to supplement. When you come home, dinner's ready. I could do meal prep. Like, I'll take the kids to school. Susie has practice on whatever day. I got that handled. And you know what? I'll do cleaning. Like, absolutely 100%.
Okay.
Dude, I think that's huge. I think that speaks to a bigger point, which is somewhat what you touched on in yin and yang. You have to be a team. And no matter what role each other plays, it has to be for the betterment of the team.
And that's
Exactly.
that's an involved thought process, though, because
Yes.
like when you, and again, Lion, like I said, for me, at this juncture in my life, been married for a long time, been with my wife for 23 years, married for 18 years. But I dated a lot of people before I was married, and have maybe an ex-wife or two. No babies, mamas. I don't have any kids. I'm kidless. I'm #kidless. But anyway, it comes down to the fact that a lot of the a lot of issues that people would have in these discussions when they come up online or in real life are because the people are just not good people. Maybe they're not a good partner for you, but I ultimately would get like more specific and go, that's just not a good person, male or female, and that's the reason they're having those issues. There's a couple cool stories, and I'm just gonna tell one right now.
Fire away.
We're talking about like how it's funny because my wife was talking about we have a couple of printers in the house, right? And even when I was working full time, I'm kind of like task oriented. She has things that she's better at, like the big picture. The big picture finances and taxes to make sure I don't buy like an exotic car.
Decorations.
And we shouldn't be,
Decor.
Yeah, decor too.
Her decor.
Insane.
Yeah.
Go
So,
ahead.
but and I like don't mind paying all the bills and making sure the things around the house, anything that breaks gets fixed. Either I can fix it. Well, no, okay. I'll let her be the guest, and you look at her face when we talk about me fixing it, because I will try to
I
fix
already
it and
know.
volunteer, but I'm not allowed to because.
Yep.
I'm good at some, like Liam Neeson. I got a special set of skills, but that's not it. So, but if something goes wrong, I get it fixed. She doesn't, the trash. She never has to go. Did the trash go out? Did the recycling get out? Whether it's as small as that, the dish, did the clean. But I take the bill. She doesn't have to worry about the electric, the light, the gas. I make sure that all goes out like clockwork, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a printer that ran out of ink, and I was like, hey, sweetie, I got to change the ink. And she was like, no, you don't have to change it. She was like, when that message comes on, like I just wait a little while and it goes off by itself. And I just like laughed. And then I said, no, I said it doesn't go off. I said it's because I changed the cartridge really quick. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm becoming one of those women, those people that, like,
dependent.
Yeah, dependent on,
Yeah.
and it's funny because she's so independent. I'm like, yeah, it's okay to sometimes lean on somebody on your team, but I thought that was funny because, it was just because, but she's like, yeah, you do so many things that she said, that I don't even realize you do sometimes, even though I appreciate it. But if I didn't have to do it, I mean, she recognized it. She's like, if I was, single, even making what I make, I'd hire an assistant and I'd live in a condo where I didn't have to deal with any stuff and, whatever. So, it's all about, I said to say, it's all about the team,
Yeah, and I really want to say this for the ladies who are out there providing or being like a high performing, successful financially, that even if we have a partner who's not on that same level or is doing those other supportive things, being in that masculine role at home, I feel I very much want to be able to be feminine. So at home, I need my man to be dominant. And to set me back into my feminine energy because that's where I want to be in my partnership.
And for the men for the men, you talk about who have strong women. You talk about the difference between a strong woman who is like confrontational or healthy strong. Most healthy strong women enjoy being able to settle back into their feminine roles by having a man in their life that allows them to do that.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I had a discussion with the relative about that because we were talking about a different subject or whatever, and the response was, well, she doesn't need him, blah, blah, blah. And I was, that's not the point. Like, if you come down to it, like, I don't necessarily need a woman, but it works well for me. Like it's what I want because it's complementary to my personality.
Yeah, so I heard you touching on like, you don't need anybody for this, but you would like to have, right? And I think that there's this like societal view of it where it's like there's this pride in like not needing anybody as almost like a defense of like you not being with someone. And I went through that, I went through a divorce and my mindset after that was like, I don't need anybody, no matter what, my life is going to be great. And I'm never going to tie my, expectations to a man. But once I worked through like all those feelings, I was able to recenter myself and accept that, I do want a life partner. And I think that there's, value in being able to verbalize that. And there's no shame in saying, like, sure, I can get by. Sure, I'm happy.
You can do it by yourself.
Right. But I would rather have a partner to enjoy life with.
Yep.
Exactly.
I agree.
I think, what a great discussion. Like, I can't believe this is your first podcast.
Oh yeah, you're killing
it. Killing it.
You're coming back.
Killing it.
You're coming back.
She's definitely like she's like media trained from LA. I don't know. She said she never tried out to be.
It's in the blood. The entertainment industry.
That's amazing. Wow, what a great conversation. Hope you guys enjoy the show. You had a great time with us. Final thoughts, Doc.
Okay, I'm going to tell this story and I'm going to wrap up my final thoughts. Okay, so you're talking about you're from Dominican Republic. Well, we went on his getaway for his last hurrah as a bachelor, which was very tame, by the way. Very tame, because I was in charge for it. Yeah, we wanted to make sure, because I know his wife, and I didn't want any problems afterwards. What happened to him? But I'm a big, as the guys know, I'm big about, been into fitness and health and nutrition, taking care of myself for a lot of years now. And with that, I am an advocate spa goer. I love the spa.
Everywhere.
Wife loves it that I like the spa. So anytime I go to a hotel, and we have a therapist that comes to the house, But if we're at a nice hotel traveling, I usually always make a spa appointment while we're there, So we're at this resort in DR with E, and I made I said, hey man, the other guys were doing something on a boat or something.
On a boat, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get on a sailboat with people drinking or whatever, because I have more respect for the ocean than that. I'm like, I didn't survive 9/11 in Iraq and Afghanistan to die with drown on a sailboat with a bunch of guys drinking on a
Special agent.
Right.
List of accomplishments. He drowned.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I didn't want to go out like that. So I'm like, I'm gonna hit the spa, and he's like, hey, I wouldn't mind doing that. So I booked us a spa appointment. The spa was spectacular there.
Yep.
And so we're chilling in like, it has its own pool and jacuzzi or whatever. And there's some other people that are getting treatments, and we're just hanging out around them and sipping like lemonade or tea or whatever, you know, whatever he was drinking. And then we could call for our appointments, you know. So it's like, okay, your appointment's gonna be, so before your appointment, you go run and grab a shower because you've been in the pool with the pool or whatever. So you get back in your spa robe, all comfy and cleaned up, and you're going to the room for the appointment, right? And we walk back there, and our therapists are walking us back, and he is in front of me, and so his expression was epic. I wish I could have recorded this. I wish I could have recorded what happened, because this is like a million hits viral video just based on what happened and everybody's interaction and you know, from E's to the therapist to mine, because he's making his face. They walk us to a room, and he's looking back at me, and I'm like, what's going on? What's wrong? You know,
Couples massage.
right?
Exactly.
She nailed it. And he's like,
do they normally do this?
Is this normal?
Like,
That's exactly what he said. I said, and I looked in the room, and I saw 2 tables, and I was like, did you guys book us for a couples massage? And I said, he's my boy, but we're not a couple. And then the one looked mortified. She was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. You just never know. And I was like, no. I was like, it's cool. I was laughing about it, you know. But just his reaction, because he was trying to figure out, I guess, if I booked this couple massage.
How do I change my mind?
He's like,
How do I
I
say
don't think
no?
I want to do this anymore.
Anybody in the ladies like, he's black. He's bald. Yeah.
It must be, they're a couple. Put them in the same room. So, yeah, it was pretty hilarious. Like, from his reaction to their reaction.
Did you guys do it?
No, we
No,
got our
it's
own
separate
room.
rules, man.
No,
I'm pretty
I was
sure
like,
his wife was happy with the outcome of his bachelor party being a male, couples massage.
oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, my God.
You know,
Lead
yeah.
into brotherhood.
Right?
Sierra, final thoughts for you.
Yeah, so I think what we've talked about, in terms of gender roles, and I like these, conversations we've had about, both men and women being able to demonstrate each, masculine and feminine qualities. And so for me, I think the most important aspect of the relationship is having that safety and balance, right? To where the man can express his more feminine qualities with that woman, and the woman can be her more masculine, and just balancing each other out, because, the genders do demonstrate both masculine and feminine traits.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share
Like
it
and
with
subscribe.
your friends. Tell your mama about it.
Like and subscribe.
And that's right. One last thing. Mystery, do us a big favor and take us home.
Hey, thank you so much to our wonderful guests. We have to have you on soon. Thank you for joining us for this episode. It's been fun. Catch us on the next episode. Until then, we're the Playbook. See you later.